All right. Hello, welcome. My name is Nathan Goheen, and I would like to thank you for tuning in. I do these live streams every Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, and I just talk about musical ideas that I've been thinking about throughout the week, or musical ideas that I think would help other people along their musical journeys. I finished a new piece of music a little over a week ago for this full moon that we just had. And there's a link for it in the description of this video if you want to check it out. It's called the November 2021 Oak Moon Miniature. And it's a breathing exercise of sorts. So give it a listen and hopefully it will help you. But back to today's topic. There is a quote that's been in my mind for a while now, and I was just starting to think about it a little bit more intensely this week. And the quote is, "Sometimes it takes a long time to sound like yourself." And the one and only Miles Davis said that. And I think that there's a lot of information in those words. And so it's my intention to kind of talk about what they mean to me and maybe what they'll mean to you. So when someone starts to play music, it's more often than not because they have heard someone else playing music. Or they've, in whatever environment that may be. Maybe you heard something on the radio that you liked. Maybe you heard something in church that you liked. Maybe you heard something in a concert that you were at. But the general interest comes from hearing someone else doing that. And so you want to do that. And so they are essentially the first of many role models. And so when we encounter these role models or people who are doing what we want to do, there are some questions that I think we should be asking ourselves. What unique thing is this role model doing that no one else is doing that's causing me to want to listen to them? What am I getting out from this person that I'm not getting out from anyone else? Maybe they've got a melody. They have a sense of melody that I like. They write really catchy tunes. Maybe their lyrics are really deep. And it's fun to explore the meanings of their words. Maybe they have an instrumentation that you like. Maybe it's a sound. I'm personally really affected by sounds. How do sounds blend together? Maybe they combined 2 or 3 different sounds in a way that had not been combined before, and it really is striking. So I think it's important for us to ask ourselves, what about these musicians specifically do we like? And then we need to look at the flip side of that coin. What about these musicians do we specifically not like? What do we think they're not doing a good job with? I'm still talking about our role models. Because after a certain age or certain amount of experience, you realize that they're not perfect. When I was younger, I definitely had musical role models that were perfect. I didn't think they did anything wrong. I thought they did absolutely everything exactly how I wanted to hear it. Then I started listening to a little bit more music, and I was like, oh, yeah, maybe this person sings out of tune. Maybe this person has bad lyrics. Maybe this person is trying to do too much with their music, and consequently it overwhelms me and I can't listen to it all the time. The point is that everyone has their own human shortcoming. And it will be different for every listener. So if we have artist A, and I'm like, his shortcomings are that he can't sing in tune, but then another listener would be like, well, I don't care about that. That's not a shortcoming for me. So you need to figure out just as much as what you like about an artist is what you don't like about an artist. And it's not like in a mean way. It's just a information gathering way. Okay, so now that we've listened to some music, we've got some role models. How do we... I guess there's an important step in there. There's an important step that I want to mention. We're going to sound like our role models, and that's totally fine. That's a very natural step in our progression. In fact, it would maybe be a little bit unnatural if we didn't at some point sound like what we wanted, sound like our role models. So how do we... Sorry, I lost my train of thought. So we've got these role models that we sound like, right? And that's a good thing. Totally natural, perfect. But the idea is to not just pretend like we're inventing something and that all of these people didn't come before us. They'd be lying to ourselves and lying to our audience, and our audience probably would know that there was someone else out there that we got this all from. So then it becomes to how do we get our own individual voice added into what we've already heard and listened to. And one of the ways that we can do that is we can put ourselves in new or unfamiliar situations. Like if you're really comfortable in a certain style, branch out, try another style. And when you branch out, you are going to potentially have a knee-jerk reaction to, this is uncomfortable, I don't like this as much as home base. And that's okay. That's totally natural. But you need to ask yourself, do I not like this because it just honestly does not resonate with me? Or do I not like this because it's uncomfortable and new? And if it's uncomfortable and new, just keep going for it. Keep staying there, and it will get more comfortable. And then you can ask yourself again, do I like this sincerely or do I not like it sincerely? And if the answer is you don't like it sincerely after you've gotten past the initial reaction, then move on to something else. That's what it's all about, is just trying, experimenting, seeing what you like and learning from it and learning from what you don't like. It's the same thing with the role models. You have to learn what you don't like to kind of get it out of the way. And what goes hand in hand with getting yourselves in these new, unfamiliar situations that you're playing and performing in is listening to a variety of music. You've got your, I like to call it home-based music. You've got your home-based music, which is like, you have it in your soul. It hits you every single time you hear it. You know all the parts to it. And then you've got this new music. And I think that there's a balance of that we've got to create. We've got to create a balance between home and new territory. The same way we have to create a balance between practicing our instrument and trying to learn something new and just playing our instrument for the sheer love of playing our instrument. Both are important, and we need to have both in our music. So I think those two things, listening to a wide variety of music and playing a wide variety of music, will help you break away from your role models, because you will then invariably add something that your role model didn't have. Maybe it wasn't available to them in the past. Maybe they lived in a time frame where they didn't hear a certain kind of music that hadn't been invented yet. But now you come along and you hear both these musics and you slowly start to synthesize them. It's like when I was growing up, I liked rock music. And then someone played me a jazz record and I like jazz music. And so the very simple synthesis would be, well, now you could fuse those two styles together, jazz and rock, right? It's all about combining different elements. And that is what that's what makes us unique, both just as a person and as an artist. And it's a lifelong process. And we're always learning about ourselves. We're always checking out new things. So our art is going to reflect that. And that's totally fine. I wish more love was given to artists who are committed to their craft, and maybe, how do I want to word this? And maybe not so much pressured to have a product delivered at a certain time to meet certain results, but more just have someone saying, you know what, I'm going to explore and I'll share the results of my explorations with you. They may not have any practical purpose for you other than there's something that I am interested in and that I explored. Let's see here. I kind of went off there for a second. Oh yeah, but it's a lifelong process and we constantly need to check in with ourselves. And, you know, when I talked about home-based music versus new music, our home-based music is going to shift a little bit, and that's great because it'll mean that we are figuring out more about ourselves and we're more aligning with who we are and the music that we want to put out there. So don't be afraid to let things go or to add something in, because it's a constant balance. And the very last thing that I wanted to say here is that sometimes the further along on your path that you go, it can be harder to find role models. And so now we need to start looking at role models in other mediums, right? So if you're a musician, maybe go check out a painter, go check out an architect, read a book, watch a movie. These are all artistic pursuits, and you can get a lot of information from other mediums. Which brings me to my closing quote here. It's by a piano player, Arthur Rubinstein, who was a awesome pianist in the late 20th century. And he said, never practice more than 3 or 4 hours a day. Never practice for more than 3 or 4 hours a day. No one can concentrate longer than that, and you must spend the rest of your time learning about life and love and art and all the other wonderful things in the world. If a young person sits in the practice room all day, what can they possibly have to express in their music? I think that's an awesome quote. At conservatory, it was get in the practice room the minute you wake up until the minute you go to bed. And there's definitely something for spending time learning about music, but there's also equally something to be said for spending time with life so that you can have a story to tell with your music or with your art or with whatever it may be. I should have said hello earlier, but Rose, it's good to see you here. And Anne-Marie, thank you for joining too. I think that's all that I have to say for today. I hope you liked the words. I hope they help you out. If anybody is interested in doing some private lessons, either about music theory, music history, music production, music recording, whatever it may be, just reach out to me. I offer 100% money back guarantee. So you got nothing to lose. And tune in next Saturday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you again, Rose and Anne-Marie, for joining. And I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.